Day 5 about to begin on the Via Francigena. Today I'm off to Siena. Apparently it's going to be a fairly flat first 2/3 of the journey, and then it starts to get a little bit up and down after that. Going to be a reasonably long day, probably over 20 kilometres by the time I reach my accommodation in the heart of Siena. The weather today looks very good. It is quite chilly this morning, actually the coolest morning I've had. It's around 7:30 and just about to head off now and hit the trail. I'm looking forward to another great day along the Via Francigena. As I've found every morning, it's always a start along the edge of an asphalt road just to try and get away from accommodation and before you can rejoin the track proper. Not always ideal, as I've mentioned several times. As you can see, a car now hurtling down towards me, and there's not a lot of margin. Thankfully, he or she just took a wide path. So after 1.6 kilometres, I'm back where I was yesterday afternoon, about to enter Monteriggioni, walk right through the tiny town, and then after that I'll emerge the other side and start the walk proper towards Siena. A lot quieter at this hour of the morning. Just walked past a local gentleman with a large rifle and a belt full of bullets, which would indicate, as I'd seen in the guidebooks prior to leaving Australia, wild boar can be around these heavily wooded forest-like areas, and you're told to give them a fair margin of distance, particularly the mothers if it happens to be around any little ones. Apparently their tusks can be razor sharp, so best just to stand your ground and let them go past. Wouldn't mind seeing one, but I'd like it to be a good 20 or 30 metres away. Buongiorno. Well, that was a wonderful experience. A house full of hospitality. A gentleman and his wife there that just run a little place purely and simply for pilgrims that are doing the Via Francigena. All you've got to do is give a donation. You can have a drink of Coke, a soft drink, a cappuccino, a latte, a little bit to eat. Absolutely magnificent. Some great hospitality. Anyway, having had a break, let's keep pushing on to Siena. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
After a delightful period walking through the forest, still plenty of water and mud underfoot, but easily negotiated on the tracks. We're back on some asphalt road again for a little while. Now back onto some beautiful trail again. Seen quite a few people with their horses this morning using these trails. Beautiful and shady. Nice underfoot also for the hooves of the animals. Still quite soft in places though. Just heard a couple of gunshots in the not too far distance. So did mention a bit earlier there are boars around this area. We did see one hunter with his gun, and I don't know if that was him, but whatever it wasn't too far away, the two gunshots. So hopefully no boars come running in my direction. I get mistaken for one by a bloke with a rifle. Just hitting the outskirts of town, according to my GPS. About 3.5 k's to go till I'm in the heart of the old town and at the front door of my hotel. Well, that was a good day's walking, no doubt about that. 21.9 kilometres, making my way from Monteriggioni to the gates of Siena. One of the most pleasant days I've actually had on the Via Francigena. You normally think of Tuscany as rolling green hills and vineyards and olive groves, but today to actually go through some beautiful forest with a bit of a wet canopy overhead and some damp leaves underfoot, it reminded me quite a bit of some of the hiking I've done in the southwest of Western Australia, but it was really enjoyable today, even though you didn't have the same sweeping scenery for a large part of it. And the best part as well is that a lot of the walking today was not on the asphalt roads. We did have about, I suppose, 4 kilometres heading into Siena, but to be expected. There's quite a development now outside the old medieval walled part here in this very famous Italian city. But no, terrific day's walking. Tomorrow, feet up, a rest day, a saunter, a couple of coffees, maybe even a gelato before hitting the track again the day after. Time to get back on the trail, off to Lucignano today, which is a journey of about 20 odd kilometres from here in Siena, where I've had a terrific time. It is a beautiful town, Siena, there's no doubt about that. I forgot how hilly it was actually inside the walls, but so pretty. The Duomo, the main campo, the plaza there. It really is a pretty place, even just to sit around and watch the world go by, which is what I did for a fair passage of yesterday. But for now, we're off back through the rolling hills of Tuscany, continue to head south towards Rome on the Via Francigena. Nice way to start the walk out of town. The route actually takes you down around the Piazza del Campo, past the Palazzo, before I rejoin the actual Via Francigena. About to leave the old town after what's been a very enjoyable day and a half. Once I get through the outskirts of Siena, back into the hills of Tuscany. Some new experiences for me now until I get to Rome. I have been to Lucca before, where I had a couple of days before I got the train to San Miniato to start the walk. I'd been to San Gimignano and Monteriggioni and Siena, having previously driven through Tuscany. But as I head south now until I get to Rome, it's going to be all uncharted territory, so looking forward to it. Overcast today, just gone 8:30, and being told that there could be some rain around, which is going to start around midday, may continue for a couple of hours, about 30 to 40% chance being told on the weather websites, so hopefully it won't rain too much. But looking forward to the remainder of the day, still about 19 kilometres to walk. Well, I've been walking so far for 6.3 kilometres, and this is the first time that I'm actually getting off asphalt onto more of a limestone track. So quite a bit of hard asphalt road walking to start the day. Not everyone's cup of tea. I don't mind it too much, but I know that there'd be some hikers that would much rather something else. I would be my preference. But yeah, 6.3 kilometres, and finally now onto something that's other than pure asphalt. Just coming up on 10 kilometres now, and I have to say that the start of the day has been far from inspiring. Out of the 10 Ks, I've probably walked at least 8 on asphalt roads or footpaths, and I'm now entering an area that is commercial, light industrial. It just hasn't been an attractive start. A little bit of countryside you could view, but none of it overly invigorating. So hopefully the back end of today, I still have roughly same distance again to walk, that it will end up becoming a little bit more attractive, because whilst the walking has been easy, it has been visually not that much of an exciting morning, unfortunately. Finally, after some more long asphalt road walking, back onto something that resembles a little bit more of a country track. I've had my first light rain shower of the day, so I've put the wet weather jacket and the rain cover on my pack, but hopefully there's going to be a lot more of this type of territory now. Starting to see some rolling green hills in the distance. Hopefully it's a while now before we get back onto that asphalt and cars going left and right. And now, with the rain, the mud on this track has become very, very slippery and a little bit precarious. I've just come down a fairly steep downhill part and having to navigate through parts that aren't too boggy. There's a nice bit coming up right now. The rain hasn't been heavy, but there has been so much around the region in the last week that it has meant that it doesn't need a lot, and all of a sudden that type of path or road becomes extremely muddy once again. Nice now, back on a bit of firmer underfoot and gravel. Lucignano D'Arbia. That's the destination today on the Via Francigena. Unfortunately, my accommodation is 6 kilometres away, so it's going to be a little bit of an additional walk for me to get to where I'm staying tonight. Some light drizzle, which has been around for the best part of an hour now, as we just tick our way up to this beautiful little medieval town in the heart of Tuscany. About to go downstairs from my accommodation, a beautiful bed and breakfast here, and have a homemade dinner. Yes, homemade ravioli, and before that a beautiful pumpkin soup. Looking forward to that immensely. Reflecting on today, I'd have to say it's probably the least satisfying day I've ever had out on a trail hiking. It started with 11 kilometres of just walking on asphalt, and there was so much road walking today. I ended up doing 28.8 kilometres in total. That involved walking an extra 6 k's back from Lucignano because of the fact that I had to return here to my accommodation. I virtually walked past it, kept going to the little town, and then turned and came back. But today, I didn't find the landscape overly inspiring. I think that was also due to the fact that there was some drizzle throughout the day for a long period of time, and it sort of took away the beauty, I guess, of the hills. But for me, there was just way too much walking on the hard surface. So I don't mind going on the limestone tracks, and we had some of that, but just not enough. It just wasn't a favourite stage for me, walking so much on the black tar. Having said that, it's all part of the experience. I'm sure we're going to get some good days. We'll get some bad days. That's just the way hiking is. But I tell you what, when you get a home-cooked dinner on a beautiful farm bed and breakfast, there's not too much to complain about, is there? After a magnificent, and I do mean magnificent, farm-cooked breakfast here, absolutely everything, and it was a massive spread, was actually created here on this property. Absolutely magnificent. So well fortified for what is going to be, unfortunately, a wet day all the way to Buonconvento today, probably around 20 odd kilometres, but it hasn't started raining yet. The forecast is not good. It's supposed to be substantial rain, or at least persistent rain throughout the bulk of the day. So we'll see how it goes. Looks like the drone might be staying in its box though for another day as we head off on the Via Francigena for yet another stage. Only been walking about 700 or 800 metres, but the sky behind is incredibly threatening, and it seems to be heading in this direction. I think it is going to be an uncomfortable day for hiking as we head towards Buonconvento, meaning the good convent. Looking forward to seeing it. Apparently, from what I've read, it's quite a pretty little town, but it might be a bit damp between now and when I arrive. Well, the rain has now made this sort of descent treacherously slippery. This sort of surface just takes the water and turns it into virtually slippery clay. In fact, at times it's more difficult going uphill than it is going down. You spin your wheels, so to speak. But yes, you need to be very, very careful and take short steps to prevent yourself from sliding to ground. But really the sign I wanted to see. This is a recently built bridge over the river, and as you can see at the moment it is closed. So somehow I am going to have to find an alternate route to get over the river and reconnect with the track. Well, I've found an alternative. It is a bridge across the river, and believe it or not, there's more room on this side for pedestrians than there is on the other. Thankfully, it's not a very long bridge. Did manage to get some respite from the rain, but unfortunately 2 kilometres out from home, down it comes once again. And by the look of the sky, it may be 2 kilometres accompanied by this rain. Can't complain though, all in all. It's been a very, very nice day, despite the weather. And lo and behold, just as I make the gate into Buonconvento, the rain has actually stopped. Looking forward to exploring this very historic town. It used to be a very important trading route back in medieval times on the Via Francigena. So a great history to it. Looking forward to drying off before I check into my hotel. Certainly need to take the boots off before I walk in. And then hopefully if the weather holds off, come back and have a look around this beautiful little place. Well, the end of a very good day, 18.3 kilometres in all. I didn't have to go too far in the end to catch up in the morning with where I needed to start, having been in that farmhouse and backtracking from Lucignano yesterday. It was rainy, it was muddy, it was slippery. But having said that, it was still a delightful day. The track was winding, it was beautiful, it had some ups and downs. The scenery in the distance was absolutely magnificent at times. And this little town here, Buonconvento, the good convent, is a beautiful little town. There's no doubt about that. Some great old medieval buildings. Just going for a wander around now to have a little bit of a saunter before I nestle in for dinner tonight. But terrific day on the track today, and looking forward to something tomorrow even brighter. The weather forecast is better. A lot of rain today, which made it very slippery underfoot in some of the mud on the tracks between farms, if you like, but that really didn't dull the situation at all. It was a wonderful day walking the Via Francigena, and looking forward to another beauty tomorrow.